He said, and I quote, Rome got to stop dropping so many passes. And how many passes did Rome drop last year? If you know the answer, how many passes did Rome drop last year? Because I will say, I agree. You do need to catch the ball. Um, you do need to catch the ball, and you do need to not drop it. But I also think that we focus on critical moments a lot more than actual statistics when we talk about things. So in the chat for me, how many drops did Roma Dunze have last year? They were in critical situations, very true. Yeah, he didn't. He got 4 drop passes last year. Not in that game alone, man. Yo, wow. Pro Football Focus. 4 drops during the 2025 NFL regular season. Let me see. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can see what that says. I don't know. Oh, that. And so you can go through his logs. Now critical drops. The timing of the drops. You drop touchdowns. You drop critical catches. But there's been plenty of YouTube pieces that I've watched. I watched 3 videos on YouTube alone about Rome, and the argument is the critical instance of the drops, not the unbelievable drops. But it was only 4. It was piss poor, and they absolutely sucked. Wait, go through his pass logs for drop passes. Whoever on PFF need to hand in their stat duties. Now, I do agree that, to me, that's almost worse in some ways to drop it in key spots, i.e. the touchdown against the Packers. It wasn't 35, and all y'all, everybody is being hyperbolic. Is my point. If we want to argue, what people do for a living and they research, I can only give you what a registered statistician will give you for stats. So if anybody wants to challenge that, by all means, no importa. Like, I don't care to debate what the websites say. Usually people say cite your sources, and I watch a lot of things right now where they talk about Medium Man on YouTube, for example. He gives you a lot of data and statistics from accredited sources. Um, but people don't like facts; they like feelings. So he caught 6 touchdown passes, but a lot of people gonna say that didn't happen either because facts don't matter. It's only feelings. So I'm I'm done. I'm done talking about. If y'all found another website that says he dropped more, feel free to type it in the chat. Otherwise, I love being a fake content creator, thinking I know what I'm talking about. Far be it from me to understand that people make mistakes, but I can't believe that many sites are making this mistake. So I only referenced the first one because I didn't want to go to StatMuse, but we'll go to StatMuse just as well. On Broski, we won't ever agree on no bullshit like that. That stats are subjective. Drop passes. If it's so subjective like that, that's incompletions when I throw it a target to you, but you don't catch it. That's so. If that's subjective, drops are not subjective. I don't. I it's no way you can tell me that a drop is subjective. But let's move along because nobody is giving me an actual site to dispute PFF. Everybody's giving me their feelings. True or false? PFF may be dumb as hell. Strat Muse may be retarded, but and my apologies for that term in particular. But nobody's giving me anything to counter the argument. So if we can agree, that we all don't know, since nobody believes what's been tracked. So can we all agree, since everybody here is statisticians, that none of us work for PFF or any of those other sites, and unless you put you see what I'm saying? Nobody cares about. So what do we care about, y'all? What are stats good for? I'm curious. And not to mention, I don't know anybody particularly in person, so I don't even know if you wear glasses or anything else to talk about your eyes. So I don't trust nobody. Yeah, people who use them do. Um, go with whatever craziness we want, but like, let's be serious. I don't have this real answer. You don't either. But we would spend 5 minutes in dialogue arguing something that uh reputed or reputable website would give you, not momandpop.com. But hey, hey, let's get back to something that I think is much more important because we never gonna agree on that stat right there. Seriously, if we talk about that, right? Just it's no cap that I can agree with. Broski, we don't disagree with that, and that's why I told you to jump in. So let's retract my statement in saying that it's not subjective. What I'm saying is not subjective is the fact that we have no evidence to the contrary. Only one person showed me anything different, and that was less than four. But we would sit here and try to argue about somebody's job. Now, I'm pretty sure if you work for PFF or if you work for ESPN or anybody like that, you wouldn't be so dismissive of their research. But because you have done none, I have done none. I've not went over all 22s and watched every drop. But like I just said, um, somebody gave me ESPN as a reference point, so salute to them. But otherwise, this is an exercise in futility because we all being subjective with our viewpoints instead of the I'm say Ken, let me see. If y'all want to, let me get into the Discord real quick. Give me 1 minute. And we will get right on over to the sports talk. No, I want you to stop trying to be the statistician to count the drops. That's all, broski. And Jerry, my grandfather said, "Feel with your hands, not with your heart." And most of this is all emotion based, in my opinion, right now. It's counterproductive to the rest of the conversation. It's counterproductive to the conversation for us to try to keep going back and forth about this particular point. It's merely to say that there are people that get, so by that proxy, I can say that 661 yards. I can say the yards touchdowns and everything else, throw them out the windows. Those didn't happen. Subjective. Maybe they got a spot wrong on the field. Like, what are we doing? No, I'm taking it as it's not what you say, Broski Bear. It's not 9 or 10 or over 10. I'm saying it's closer to that than it is to what you say, in my estimation. Not what you saw and classified as drops. Can we do that? And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. No need to cap form, and no need to make stuff up to be hyperbolic. So, no, we jump in the Discord and talk about that, or we move along to the next subject, because we get nowhere with Rome right now. So, Caleb in year 2 under Ben Johnson will be an absolute problem. Not a prediction. My absolute guaranteed delivery. Consider that package shipped right there. We got nothing else to talk about with Rome Odunze. And we get into another person, so we can talk about his non-drops, because just like Rome, his percentages and drops are low as well. One Luther Burden. Luther Burden the third. Let's talk about him. This is a conversation I think people have been waiting to have way more than anything else. Broski, Count Dracula, how you feeling today, man? It was a spirited conversation. I don't think it solved anything. I don't think that we found any common ground, but it was a way for us to talk about a controversial receiver. Typically, I think every year we have a lightning bolt of a player. I think last year that the lightning rod player was a DeAndre Swift for most people. Most people had him off the team, bad, wasn't good and everything else. So it's just what can I say? This is always gonna be a player that is a lightning rod, because this is where y'all subjectivity come in at. How many drops do you think Luther Burden had last year? In the chat, how many drops did Luther Burden have last year? Curious to know. So we don't get too off on a tangent over there. We can keep to it. Drops for Luther Burden last season. How many will we say? Two for Robbie. 5 for Dracula. But see, the only thing that I would have to go with that, Ken, is if 3 sites had 2, 3, or 4, and no sites had 10, 11, or 12, I'm speaking of which one will be closer to the truth, not this gospel of absolute accuracy, since we've already talked about the fact that it's subjective. So the fact that we can't say, if the sites all say 4 and below, and everybody in the chat says 10 or above, if we can't even say, hey, let's say he has 6 and call it lunch. If we can't do that, that's silly shit to me. You know what I mean? Like, versus me trying to give you my absolute opinion about it, or versus me trying to give you theirs, I think there should be some common ground or meet in the middle, because there's always something that we see versus what they see. And so let's even say that we had went down the rabbit hole of saying that you doubled his 4 and that turned to 8. If 8 had been propagated, would that have been sufficient enough to quell the argument that he had substantially more? Even if you think that he had 4 in one game, because I don't go by anybody's feelings in the chat. But when we can't do that right there, I'm saying we're being so willfully obtuse about a stat, and we give so much denigration to actual professionals that get paid to do something. I think that that in itself is like a disservice, because everybody in this chat has a job. And for me to totally discredit what you say about your job or what you do in your job, to me, I can understand disagreement in it, but the dismissal of it is what I can't do. And warning the driver, 8 may be the case, but what I'm saying is more sites were going towards the low than what we were saying in the chat. So would it be fair to say that if more sites were closer to a common number, are they all lying, or are we misinformed about how we see things? In essence, like I said, the number we just talked about, I probably would think Rome had about 8 drops or so last year. If you ask me, just going back through the Rolodex of games, I don't remember any 4 drops in one game, anything like that. But in that instance, if I didn't answer your question, Broski, but I didn't see you ask me about it, but I think I started the whole dialogue out that way. But I would say you can double that number and not feel offended. But I'm not here to go through each game, nor can anybody in the chat get me to back down that they are less accurate than we are. It's my point. If that makes sense to you, this is not an attempt for me to be right in any way. It's an attempt for me to express to you guys that if we think that they are so wrong, how is it that you are so right? It has to be a middle ground somewhere, because in a story there are 3 sides: yours, mine, and the actual truth. And what I'm saying is, PFF, I'm not interested in the pissing contest of trying to see how many times the ball touched somebody's hands or what have you. You understand what I'm saying? Fair enough, Ken. But I don't think that a website, because I've fancied working at these places, and I don't think that there's some narrative that you need to keep going. Well, you can replay it. You can replay it and find out if I offer my opinion. Nor that I rip anybody. So I think that's being hyperbolic and overly sensitive. Broski, jump in the Discord. Because I want us to clearly understand that I can disagree with your take or opinion without me classifying anything as ripping you or bashing you, because all of those are hyperbolic words that are a bit more sensitive than I think we need to be about a sports debate. If we disagree, we disagree. But I bashed nobody. I ripped nobody. I questioned your opinion about it, and I'm almost certain you can check the replay to see that I gave an opinion about it prior to you asking. But since I can't factually say that to be true, no problem. My point was not about my thoughts. It was which one was closer to the truth.